Because I had that fear for the longest time. Like, what if I do meet someone, but I don't like him? What if I do meet someone that's great, but it's not who God would approve? And these are just all fears, guys. These are all fears. And I'm just a living testimony that I can declare and say, God will give you the best person. You're going to be attracted to them. He's going to be the perfect person for you. If you're watching, whether, boyfriend, girlfriend, God has the perfect person for you. So let us not have fear beyond our replay. So, like when we're talking about music, right? When we listen to music, we need to make sure and ask ourselves, what are we replaying in our ears? Are we constantly playing our fears, or are we reciting God's truth? Because the more thoughts that we tolerate that are fear-based, the more we will live in fear. And when we live in fear, we won't obey God, right? The reason why the enemy wants us to live in fear, especially in our single season, is because he wants us to not obey God. He wants us to just follow what our feelings are driving us towards. And that's all based on our fear. So it's so important that we live out 2 Corinthians 10 that says, take captive every thought that sets itself against the knowledge of God, right? Take captive every thought and make it obedient to Christ. It is so important, because if we want to walk with a renewed mind and actually see what God has best for us, we have to take those thoughts captive. We can't entertain those thoughts, those fears. And so this is a season for you to pick up the convictions that God has given in your heart. Maybe there are some things that God has told you, but you've kind of like put it off to the shelf. You're like, yeah, but, right? You have these reasons of saying no to God. This is the time for you to pick those convictions back up and actually live based on those convictions, because God has given us the Holy Spirit to be able to convict us so that we would walk in his way. And I always tell people to embrace conviction, because conviction is the voice of God, right? Sometimes we're just like, I don't know, and we want to suppress that conviction because we don't like it. Our flesh doesn't like it. What we want is not to hear what God has to say. But we need to learn to embrace conviction, because as we embrace it, that's how we live transformed. That's how we walk in obedience and see all that God has for us.